We waited long enough.
Hey everybody, welcome to Comic Core on Monday night. This is a special live on Kickstarter. We are doing a celebration of Rylend Grant's Jump episode, and we're going to be right here for you. I'm JD, and I'm here. I'm very happy to be here on a Monday, and I'm going to just say right now, this is a great group. Hope everybody's being safe, praying, and do what you got to do to get through these times, and we'll get through this, and we're gonna have a great time tonight. Great show. So I'm gonna hand off right now to Drew Manchu. Drew, how are we doing?
Oh man, I'm having a great day. I just got some news of going back to work soon, so I'm done living in this basement and trying to figure out what the next move is. I'm really excited. Rylend has been making the rounds talking about this wonderful project, and I'm excited to have him here to talk about it. Andy?
Definitely looking forward to this. Looking forward to having a chance to ask a couple of questions from another Michigander to another. So, yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. I got to talk to you yesterday over on the SB Network on Comic-Cast.
Yeah.
So 2 days in a row.
Yeah. We're doing Cheers to Comics tomorrow together. So Jason and I are just kind of doing this tour together. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Jason, the liaison.
Yeah, dude. We're stoked to have you, man. As always, and you're like probably the Comic Core MVP, man. I think you might be our #1 guest who's appeared most times. I always say, just on Mainframe Comic Con alone, I think you made like 4 or 5 apperances. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I don't know. That might be.
I don't know if it was 3 or 4 or something like that, but yeah, I mean, I kept popping up.
Yeah, man. You taught a class free online, which is amazing.
So how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Tell us about the jump.
Tell us about Jump.
I'll tell you about the jump in a second. So I had a great day on Kickstarter. I think we are.
Yes.
I'm too close to the computer right now. We're at $4,500 today.
Dude, I told you it was gonna blow up. I knew it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, about 11 hours. So that's great. You know, goal of 700. So I decided that I would wear an Infinity Gauntlet the entire interview.
Extra powerful.
Yeah. So this is this one's a little janky though. This is like an officially licensed thing, but it's on the wrong hand. Like in the comics, it's on this right hand, it's on the left hand. So I kind of feel like
we can flip your video.
Yeah, flip my video. That's good. Yeah, it always freaks me out when it's just on me because I can't see you guys. Like I feel like I'm talking to dead air.
I'm not a director, so I can't help you. That's up to JD or Drew.
So
all right. Let's take off a solo.
He's like, please get
it was
me.
It was freaking me out during the mainframe too. I was sitting there. We were doing that networking panel, and the networking was very much about it's this panel about like, okay, well, how have we all interact together, and how do we meet, and all that stuff. And so I'd be like, oh yeah, well, I met this person, and I'm sitting there looking at their picture, and then suddenly, boom, giant picture of me. So
big face, big head.
My hang up. I'm a weirdo when it comes to that, but yeah. So yeah, I'm Rylend Grant. I wrote BANJAX and Aberrant, and you guys should know those if you are a big Comic Core people. My latest and greatest is called The Jump. It is a sort of paranoid thriller set in the world of astral projection. Yeah. It is live on Kickstarter now. We sort of had this chat before we went live. I don't want to say if we're going to play the video, maybe we should do that sooner rather than later because I don't want to repeat myself too much. I don't want to say too much of what's in the video. There was a sort of standard pitch in all of this, but it's kind of like.
Should we air that real quick first?
We can go with the video first.
Yeah. Let's roll it. So I'll stop tripping all over myself.
Let's do that.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Oh no,
roll that beautiful bean footage.
Let's. All right, let's play this.
Hey Kickstarter, my name is Rylend Grant. I have for about 15 years worked as a screenwriter in Hollywood. I've developed film and television projects for folks like J.J. Abrams, Ridley Scott, Luc Besson, John Woo, Justin Lin. I swerved into the comic book lane a few years back. My first book was a love letter to 70s paranoid spy thrillers called Aberrant. Action Lab Danger Zone published it in 2018. It won a Ringo Award for Best Villain and was nominated for 2 others, including Best Single Issue and Best Writer. The book was quickly optioned for television by 24 and Felicity executive producer Tony Krantz, and so that one is very much off and running. My last book was a dark superhero noir titled BANJAX. And you might know that one. It was on over a dozen critics' 10 best lists last year. But those projects are over and done with. I am here today to talk to you about what's new and what's exciting. My latest and greatest, and that is The Jump. The Jump is a kick-you-in-the-face paranoid thriller set in the world of astral projection, and you're going to love it. After a series of crippling personal tragedies, our protagonist Thomas retreats from his everyday life and finds comfort in an online community dedicated to the art of astral projection. When he demonstrates a unique aptitude for the practice, Thomas becomes the target of a mysterious corporate political machine known as Ajax, bent on using promising young practitioners to win a centuries-old war on the astral plane. The Jump is a smart, grounded, high-concept sci-fi thriller full of meaty twists and turns. It is essentially Inception meets The Bourne Identity if it were dripping with macabre and directed by David Fincher. Now tell me that doesn't sound cool. The art is done. The book is completely ready to go. We just need the funds now to print it up and get it to you. Any additional cash will be put towards art for issues 2, 3, 4, and beyond. This is going to be an ongoing series. You're going to love it for years to come, I promise you. Now we have some great rewards for potential backers down below. 3 amazing variant covers, original art, the chance to actually appear in the book, the chance to come on to the film and TV property as a producer, and there is tons of creative stuff for all you process junkies. So yeah, take a look below, pick a tier you like, and then please come make the jump with us.
Come make the jump with us.
So good. Trademark TM.
64%.
64%, dude. In like how many hours? 11 hours?
Yeah, 11 hours. Yeah.
Dude, I told you. I had a feeling it was going to be this successful by this time. And so I guarantee you're going to make it by tomorrow, if not the day after. I'm super stoked for you. Nothing but positive vibes, dude. That's so sick. And I think everyone's excited for this. The art is amazing. Same crew as BANJAX. That art is incredible. I saw those preview pages. The story seems super cool. Those tiers are amazing. Can you guys pull up that Kickstarter and go through those tiers at all?
Yeah,
I certainly can. I'm actually on my phone trying to figure out Kickstarter so I can buy this darn thing. But
yeah, you really want to get in on like early because maybe the tier you want will be gone. So. Yeah,
we have we actually have if you're just buying the book, we have Earlybird Tiers that end midnight tomorrow. So you save a little bit if you get in early. But I guess I should just go ahead and say that before we kind of get into all the ins and outs of this. Is that so what a lot of people don't know about Kickstarter is that the first 48, but particularly the first 24 hours of a campaign are kind of key to the whole thing. Basically, your metrics in the first 24 to 48 hours, how well you do, your backer count, your dollar count, they dictate how much Kickstarter will then promote you internally. And so it literally makes or breaks your campaign, decides whether you're sort of successful or not. So yeah, I obviously did my interview yesterday and did my interview today, and just trying to make people aware that you can help us a whole lot by supporting today or tomorrow. Even $1 helps us raise our backer count and lets Kickstarter know that we're serious and that we're kind of bringing the heat. So if you
I was gonna say, Adam joked around yesterday saying instead of ordering like $100 tier, he's gonna order like 100 $1 tiers every day to get that tickle that algorithm. Awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's crucial. So everyone, please, if you're gonna buy it, try to buy ASAP just to help out that algorithm.
Yeah, so it's it's kind of it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of like a Tony Scott movie come to life. Astral projection is kind of this weird, wacky world. But as I sort of said in the video, I've been paid for about 15 years to write kind of big poppy action movies, and so So, I set kind of like a kick-ass, like punch you in the face Tony Scott thriller in this world. And so a lot of fun. I mean, if you liked, you like the kind of visceral action of BANJAX and, kind of the intrigue, like, peel the layers of the onion back, fit that was aberrant, then you're going to love this one. This one's, it's a lot of fun.
Drew, if you're controlling this, I do believe there's a tier tab on the top left, and you can have a bigger picture of the tiers to scroll through instead of the sidebar.
All right, top left.
And I don't see anything on the top left. I've got quite a few Kickstarters, and this is by far the coolest tier structure of any of them I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. You are involved from the lowest to the highest right now.
There's a lot of weird and wacky stuff, and so so the thing here, I wanted to take advantage of Kickstarter as much as I could, meaning like there is this this really rabid comic fan base there, right? And it's a very interactive site, so it's like I've been releasing comic books in shops for a while now, and they kind of go out and you don't hear much back. Every once in a while people blow you up on Twitter, or you get to meet people at cons and stuff like that, but I don't get immediate feedback. And so the beauty of the jump is that just immediately people can start blowing you up, sending you messages, and I went live today, and my inbox was flooded with questions and hey man, this looks cool, and oh yeah, how'd you do this and how'd you do that. And people requesting, hey, do you think you could do this? Do you think you could do that? And so it becomes this, it is this animal, this sort of ever evolving sort of, puzzle of a campaign that's awesome. And so, so I wanted to kind of feed the beast there. You have a community that's already involved and wants to be invested. And so, so in kind of shaping this thing and conceiving this thing, I wanted to, okay, well, how can I involve people as much as possible? How can I go sort of above and beyond to do that? And so, some of the cooler tiers, I mean, we were talking about this pre-show, and Jason, I think you even, you got in on one of these. There was talk of,
There's like 4 of them available, so I had to get in while I could.
I got one of them.
JD did also. Yeah,
throw him and I together. That'd be great.
Yeah, can you have us dying together?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I just noticed that Alec was there. It was like I wasn't looking over there, and I looked down, and there's this just glorious beard staring at me.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, I made it very clear during Mainframe Comic Con that I'm the #1 fan of Alec's beard, so I'm all in on that. Yes. I'll have to fight somebody for that probably. But yeah, so there are all these great tiers where what do we have? There's a tier where we can we will put your face on one of our kind of crazy covers. We have a standard cover, but if you know me, I'm kind of known for my crazy variant covers. On Aberrant, we did 2 Karate Kid variants, a Top Gun Playing with the Boys volleyball variant. We are now doing a Weekend at Bernie's variant.
That's awesome.
BANJAX had a Gremlins variant, a Rocky IV variant.
Yep.
We're now doing Iron Man Demon and a Vowel variant. That's going to be kind of a retailer exclusive. That's going to be awesome. And so we set the bar high. And so we have a Ghostbusters variant here. That's pretty awesome.
I love that one.
Yeah, that's good. And then we have you can probably bring those covers up actually. And then we have a variant cover that is a tribute to Ice Cube's "Today Was a Good Day" video.
Yes.
That has just probably about a dozen little references in it. And then we kind of have our standard sort of sexy variant, because if you're on Kickstarter, the Kickstarter crowd loves the titty cover, so you got to give them one.
We do.
It's got a butt.
Yeah, not really my bag, but Kickstarter likes it, and so you cater to that. But so you can have your face drawn on any of our covers. That's one of our crazy tiers. You can actually be drawn into the book, and that's what these guys opted for. You can be a background character. You can have like an actual speaking role in the movie, basically. So there are any number of ways we will actually include you in in the movie, in the book, in the process. So trying to get people involved as much as we can. One of the really cool tiers, and I think there's one of these left, but somebody bit on the we will do a 5-page original story.
I wish I could afford that. Yeah, that's the one I wanted the most. That one or the producer credit. How would you not want to be a producer or co-producer in a Rylend Grant project?
Yeah,
you're probably going to get options, and guess what? You're going to be sitting on the director's chair on set.
Well, I mean, we can talk about those producer tiers in a second, but so the we will draw the original story about you that takes place in the world of the Jump. So one guy bought it, and then he got 2 of his friends to go in and buy the supporting role tiers.
Oh, nice.
But the caveat was that they didn't want to be in issue 1 of the Jump. They wanted to be in the they wanted to be drawn into the original story that featured their friend into this 5-page thing. And so I am now already in the process of crafting a story that includes these 3 people, that is sort of set in a world with the Jump. And so taking it
There we are.
There's our sexy cover, and then I think if you scroll, is it up or is it down?
I think down is the Ice Cube.
Down, that's the first one.
Yeah.
There's Ice Cube.
So there's the Ice Cube. Today was a good day. That's our main character Thomas in the Ice Cube role, sitting on that beautiful Impala. You have a Fat Burger in the background. You have somebody freaking brothers everywhere like MJ. You got got Sway's a pimp on the Good Day blimp.
I couldn't. I wasn't in a position to flex like these fools on these big tiers, but I will brag that I was the second backer this morning.
Yes.
Second backer, just narrowly beat by Boogie Bentley. So
I know, because I saw that when I logged on, I was like, oh, no one's backed yet. Maybe I can be number 1. And then I took too long deciding which tier I wanted, like an idiot.
I was checking my email constantly, and then next time I checked it, it happened to be like 15 minutes prior. I was like, damn it, I wanted to be number 1. Yeah, so coveted number 1 place.
Yeah. So those producer tiers are really interesting too in terms of involving people. So I have, as I said, I have for a long time been a screenwriter in Hollywood, and so when I first started, which I guess was about 15 years ago, I sold a lot of spec scripts and pitches, and that was kind of the way you did things. You wrote original scripts, you went out, you sold it. But a few years in, kind of the writer strike hits, the financial crisis hits, and then kind of all hell breaks loose, right? Kind of like it's happening now. But Hollywood uses the whole catastrophe to kind of like remake the way they do business. And then suddenly, like overnight, you can't sell a pitch, you can't sell a script anymore. But sort of what it coincided with us kind of entering this age of IP, intellectual property, meaning like, every movie, every TV show had to be based on something, a book, a comic book, a video game, whatever. And so I had a couple of lean years, trying to bang my head against the wall and sell specs and sell scripts, and then finally, like I kind of got wise, and I'm like, you know what? If they want IP, like why don't I give them IP? And so I had this idea that I kind of liked as a movie, but had never done anything with. Knew I couldn't sell it as a pitch or a spec, and so I wrote it as a short story. Got the short story published, and then kind of overnight had this bidding war over it. Had Justin Lin on one side, coming off the Fast 6 opening, which was like the largest opening in Universal summer history, and then
nice.
And then we had Robert De Niro and Brett Ratner on the other side, and so basically since then,
they had a battle to the death, the broken full queue.
Yeah, my business in Hollywood has been IP, and so I've sold a lot of fiction, and of course when Aberrant came out, got it optioned for television by Tony Kranz, who did 24 and Felicity, and
is there any updates on that? Just while we're on the subject.
Well, there. It was skipped along fine, and then and then
all this chaos happened. Yeah,
and then all this chaos happened, and so everything is in question now. So I don't know where anything stands. I mean, I had that's another thing. It's we can talk about the how and why I kind of decided to kind of shift on to Kickstarter, but I have 5 books in the pipe right now, meaning comic books.
Wow.
And I had I had 2 with major publishers that were set to be announced and the whole 9 yards, and then pencils down everywhere.
Yeah.
So I have no idea where those stand. I know that in one case, my champion at the company, who was very high up in the company, was let go permanently, and so so I don't know. So my story is not unique, and I am far from the worst harmed in all this in terms of the comic business. Obviously, like our comic shops are really taking it on the chin, and the publishers are taking it on the chin. And I'm really surprised they're not doing worse. I mean, they are prevailing despite all of this nonsense. But the creators are kind of ailing too, right? And the problem that we're gonna see is that, well, there's this huge backlog now. I mean, all we have is time, so we're all at home creating, and I'm a little bit better off than whatever Joe Schmo who has never put out a book, but I'm not nearly as good as whatever Garth Ennis or Jeff Lemire or name insert another A or B lister before me, and so and we were already in a state where these publishers were scaling down their slates, right? And so there are just not enough seats on the bench right now, and so creators are kind of having to get creative. That was an interesting way to put it, with how they're kind of reaching fans now. And luckily for us, Kickstarter is, I mean, it's an amazing community. Like I said, a lot of rabid fans and real opportunity there, not just, of course, like, of course there's the dollars and cents aspect though. Nobody gets rich, making comics, and certainly nobody gets rich, on Kickstarter unless you're, Kevin Eastman or something like that.
I also want to say you're very humble too by saying those A-listers and B-listers. Meanwhile, your name has been next to them in many awards ceremonies. So those who are watching and have not heard of Rylend Grants, you've been missing out. So be in the know and back the jump.
Yeah, I grease the right palms, but yeah. So I'm just I'm stunned by the quality of the work that's on Kickstarter right now, and so and then what people what people like my good friend Charlie Stickney has a book that's pretty regularly on Kickstarter called White Ash.
Yeah.
Which is a great book. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it, if you haven't seen it. But that started as a Kickstarter join. I mean, he kickstarted 5 issues, and then he went to Scout Comics and got a traditional release. It's in comic shops now, and it's doing well. And so Charlie just kicked ass on Kickstarter, and now he's kicking ass in comic shops. And Kevin Eastman and my friend David Avalone did the same thing with Drawing Blood. Raised a ton of money on Kickstarter and got the book made. My texts are blowing up here. Sorry about that. And then they had a great comic book shop release. And so here's the thing: is like obviously the ground is shifting underneath us, right? And creators are having to figure out, okay, well, where do I fit into this weird evolving puzzle, and how do I reach an audience? And I think that the future is going to look a lot like this. And I've been trying for a couple of years to figure out what it's going to look like next week and next month and next year. And every time I think I have a finger on it, the ground shifts, and now it's been seismic, obviously. But guys like Charlie Stickney and guys like Avalone and Eastman, I think they're really onto something. And so I'm not first through this door, but there are going to be a lot of people in it, through it behind me.
It's funny because you talk about what the future is going to kind of look like as far as publishing and stuff like that. And, similarly for something like the music industry, where even years ago at this point, Radiohead just decided, we're just going to release our album for free. And if you want to pay us for it, that's cool. It was super successful. And I know that's Radiohead. They're maybe the biggest
time
band in the world.
Radiohead has released an album, there's been a plague or something happened. Every release, there's been a huge sickness.
Somebody has brought up financial crisis, 9/11, everything was all related to OK Computer.
If you sell your soul to the devil, you can do whatever you want, Radiohead.
Well, hey, work for Robert Johnson. But my point is that why wouldn't this be more of a viable thing moving forward for people, because then, you know, people can just back the projects that they want. You can cut out the middleman. You get a better product. You get exactly the stories from the creators that you want, and you get like cool bonus extras instead of, you know, it does obviously affect local comic shops, which is not great, which is kind of like the big, I guess, problem with it. But
yeah.
But you do have, you know, comic shop tiers on there, which is great for the comic shops. But, you know, I do on the same side as Alec was saying, you know, for me, I don't understand why there's still, it's hard to see how comic book shops and record stores are surviving, because I'd rather buy direct to the band, give the band my money directly, and just receive it online and not have to go anywhere, you know, or get special extra things on top. But I do like the experience of being in a shop and finding various things or different things you might not, you know, be looking for directly. You just come across them. That's the fun of shopping, and the fun through digging through the crates or the boxes. But you do have a tier for the shops on Kickstarter, which is fantastic because not a lot of people do.
And some of the retail shops, like when Aberrant came out, a bunch of the local shops here in town, I begged and pleaded, and they got it all. I got them all of them back. All of them were there. And with B covers, which, you know, he talked about earlier. I mean, you're talking Colt 45, Billy D. Williams cover, Alf covers with the lunchbox. It's just the best fun stuff, and it's just was way different. And before you know it, all the Baron issues were there, and they got a huge following of people here that would just want to know more. And then BANJAX hit, and well, we know what BANJAX, for all of us that are fans of Rylend, just love BANJAX. I mean, you don't have to be a fan of Rylend. You can, whatever. It's just
and if you're a Rylend Grant novice and you don't have BANJAX and you haven't read Aberrant, there's a tier on the Kickstarter where you can pledge for the jump and get copies, at least digital copies, of Rylend's catalog thus far, basically, which is a really great way of rolling people in who don't know who you are, honestly.
Well, yeah, and actually, I think every backer gets both Aberrant #1 and BANJAX #1 digitally. So with every pledge, you're basically getting 3 comics for the price of 1, 3 #1s for the price of 1. So it is the Rylend Grant starter kit, and then, like you said, there is a larger digital tier where you can kind of get where you can celebrate my entire catalog, as a wise man once said. But yeah, with the comic shop stuff and the comic shops versus Kickstarter, I mean, I think that it always gets portrayed as a dichotomy, right? I mean, I think that it shouldn't be. You know, it's not an either or. It's not a black or white thing. I mean, I think that these things they should coexist, and they sort of necessarily have to coexist, right? It's a very different experience. You're looking at very different products, and I think that the smart creator will serve both kind of masters, right? Again, you look at. I think that the problem has been that we kind of as a community, meaning creators, consumers, journalists, shop owners, the whole 9 yards, is that we have built a wall between these two worlds, right? But you look at what a guy like Charlie or guys like Kevin and Avalone have done. You serve one community, and then you go over and you serve another one, right? And it's the beauty of this. I mean, it's what I learned from Charlie. Is so Charlie did his Kickstarters, and he has kind of one set of covers, and the book is configured a certain way. And then when he goes to Scout, it gets kind of it gets kind of like taken apart and put back together. Remixed. Yeah, exactly. And there are new covers in the whole 9 yards. And so it ends up being, for collectors out there, it ends up being a big deal. And so if you were, White Ash is a pretty big hit for Scout right now, and there are a lot of collectors who are already like after those Scout issues, right, that are scarce. But if you back Charlie's first Kickstarter like years ago, and you have like the ash can of White Ash #1 that he gave away to like 25 backers back then, then you have like you can name your price for that thing, right? And some people will they'll be buried with it in their coffins. You know what I'm saying? So there's there's an interesting opportunity here in terms of like the memorabilia aspect of all of it. So it's one thing that we did on the jump is that any cover you get here via the Kickstarter you'll never see again. So that Ice Cube cover, that Stay Puft Marshmallow cover, that Booty cover, you can get it here, and then once this ends, you're not going to see it again. So
I'll have to put in a request for some pogs. Exclusive pogs.
Nice.
Maybe a slammer,
Well, you're gonna bring it to my cafeteria and get ran like every kid back in the day.
I mean,
remember Elf? He was back in Paul Form.
Yeah, nice reference, man. That's awesome.
Little Millhouse.
Yeah. That's great.
So let's hit this chat up really quick. We're 30 minutes into the episode yet, and let's hit up these great people that we're getting over to Kickstarter to get them to check this out. Mm-hmm. We had a tailgate right from the beginning because it's making that show feel good tonight. Chris Barrett. It's not the same without you, man. Thanks for coming. And we have that Stream Elements bot running tonight, right?
Thank you for not killing us, bot.
You bow down to our automaton overlords.
Yes.
Fish Tropic, thanks for stopping by, hitting that like button. Cheers to Comics Podcast. Hey, thanks for stopping by and checking out the show.
Pinkies up.
Hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate it. Bearded Comic Bro, thanks for stopping in. This was great because he did an interview with you, Rylend, just the other day and posted it, I think, this morning or last night.
Yeah. I hit it at 9 a.m. this morning, so go check out his YouTube channel. That was great.
Yep, that was an awesome interview. Thanks, man, for posting that. Great content. Chris Barrett still in. Fish Tropic still in. Legend stops by and shares a link. Thanks for hanging out, man. And have a good night.
Legend.
Tight.
Yeah. Click on that shit.
Dude, that's awesome. If you guys haven't checked out the Kickstarter, anybody listening that hasn't checked it out, please do, because there's a ton of great tiers. I'm just questioning that one tier about getting written in or getting drawn into the book. Do they make a panel big enough for my beard now?
Oh, come on.
Jason and I are the two backers for that, right?
Yeah, we're the only two right now. Yeah, there's only 5 spaces left. I think 4 or 5 spaces. Yeah, dude. I would love to see myself killed in a comic. That'd be amazing.
First and last.
Shout out Miss Hustle in the chat. Good to see you, Miss Hustle.
What's up? Oh my God, the OG #1 comic fan for the comic.
She is. I haven't seen her around a whole lot lately, but it's a couple years ago. If you had a YouTube show going, Miss Hustle was tweeting it out to everybody she knows,
Miss Hustle,
helping to grow the community.
Yeah, we miss
having you around, Miss Hustle. You need to come in more often.
That is awesome.
Rylend, I just want to say, we talked a lot about the industry and all the ups and downs and the benefits of Kickstarter and blah, blah, blah. Dude, tell me on this story, because like the pseudoscience of astral projection is kind of this fringe science where there's actual science involved.
Yeah, good subject.
But at the same time, it is also kind of a high fantasy concept. Where did this idea to use astral projection as kind of a basis for your story come in, and have you done a lot of research into it, and what have you found?
Have you projected yourself?
The short answer is no. But this is a very good question because what's that?
Said rookie.
Oh, nice. So it goes. It goes back to the art team. So I'm full of ideas, right? And I can go to my artist and I can say, "Hey, draw this," and I do that most of the time. But when you have an artist like Fabio, who is kind of throwing 100 miles an hour, baiting the corners, I think often the best thing you can do is go to him or her and say, "Hey, what do you want to draw?" Right? And so Fabio had this thing holstered. I mean, it was it wasn't even a question. Usually you ask an artist this and it's let me think about it. Maybe something like this, maybe something like that. And Fabio was like this, and he already had concept drawings, and the concept drawings were a little out there, and his kind of take on the world was a little bit different. But he wanted to do something in this world of astral projection, and he wanted to do that for a very specific reason, is because he does it himself. So if you read the Jump, and there's a 10-page preview on the Kickstarter site. So so if you want to check it out and you want a little taste, I encourage you to look at that. But even in that preview, you can see it already kind of starts to build out there exists this in the real world and in the world of the book. There is this kind of online community of astral projectors, and they gather on YouTube and on Reddit boards and message boards and wherever folks like that gather. But yeah, I mean, there are thousands of people out there who do this regularly and are dedicated to it, and Fabio is one of them. And so he he does this regularly, and he has a teacher, and this is something that he believes in wholeheartedly. So I was coming at it kind of as a skeptic, I mean, it's not something I've ever done, something I've ever experienced. I meditate a lot. One of the weird facts about me is that I am an ordained Soto Zen Buddhist monk. And so if you know anything about Soto Zen, it's a Japanese sect of Zen. And it has more in common with kind of physics than any religion I've ever encountered. It's really just about, it's about looking at the world as it is and not projecting anything onto it emotionally or spiritually or anything. So it is really like a practice of realism, right? And so yeah, somebody brings up astral projection and I kind of roll my eyes, right? That's where I'm coming from. However, after, I've meditated pretty regularly for about 20 years. And when you do that, and particularly when you go up to the Mount Baldy Zen Center and you do a 10-day retreat, and you basically meditate for 12 hours a day, you're sitting there staring at a wall doing nothing else. There is some weird shit that happens. And some people like to put labels on it. We don't. But there's weird shit that happens. And I don't know how to explain it or how to quantify it or anything like that. And so, as sort of grounded and rooted in realism as I am willing to admit that there is this kind of whole section of the menu that I don't completely understand, right? And so I was coming at this book, from that standpoint. And so, I very much had to learn this. And so, I mean, it's the beauty of that preview. I don't know if you guys read the preview, but the first 10 pages, it almost teaches you how to do this, right? And we kind of give you the MacGyver version, like maybe we left out a key thing or two so you don't blow yourself up. But that's what we did. But that's just, the world is kind of half the book, right? I mean, again, I write action movies for a living, and really this was a way for me to tell like a badass, kind of, paranoid thriller. And that's my bread and butter. And, you can only tell them like in a law firm or in a military context so many times before people kind of start to tune out. I had never seen one done in this world like this. And so it excited me.
Quick follow-up. Has Fabio ever astral projected to you to collaborate on this project in order to save on those dang internet bills?
Yeah, was he the woman in that cover? He was just bare ass.
Yeah. He's Fabio does have a very full buttocks, so it could have been him. I don't know if you guys have
Fabio's full buttocks tier on the Kickstarter.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if before I answer that question, the funny thing is if you look at Thomas, our protagonist in the Jump, he's Fabio. So I mean, every artist needs to find references and whatnot, and sometimes it can be difficult. Okay, well, I need a reference for this angle, I need a reference for the spatial expression, and so Fabio was just like, look, this is my book, it's my dream book, so the character's me.
That's awesome.
It's gonna make my life easier. I mean, he's in Brazil struggling, and he's working a day job, and so he's like, you know what? I don't want to spend all this time finding these fucking references. I will look in the mirror and I will draw myself.
Wow.
And so that's awesome. Until you look at this cover with his 10-pack abs, and
is that real? Is he actually like pot belly or?
Well. I mean, the whole thing is okay. So so if you scroll down, like in the real world, Thomas is kind of like this tubby, spilled milk, piece of shit. But
the Danny DeVito.
in the astral world, you are kind of you are sort of how you see yourself, your best self or whatever.
Awesome.
So
cool.
So this is how Fabio sees himself, ripped, in this fucking bodysuit. And I think it's a funny, it's just a funny commentary on him. But
that is awesome. Thank you for telling us that. That rules. Yeah.
Yeah, a good little inside baseball. But yeah, so there have been times where I will get an email from Fabio, and emails from Fabio are always interesting because English is not his first language. I don't even know I don't know how much English he speaks actually. And let me just preface this by saying I don't speak a word of fucking Portuguese, so I'm not on my high horse here. And we communicate exclusively in English. And he does very well. However, there's a lot of Google Translate involved on his end. And so I will get an email from Fabio out of the blue sometime, and sometimes he's up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., drawing and out of his mind. And so sometimes I will get an email in broken English being like, Rylend, I tried to visit you last night. Did you see me?
That's great.
And the first couple of times I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And he's like, well, yeah, I went on the astral plane and I was hanging out with my mentor and I was talking about you with him. And he said, well, just try to contact him and see if he's open to it. And apparently some people are open to this and some people aren't. But you can work at being open to this, and apparently I'm not yet open enough.
Oh man, so he's like, I gave you hamburgers. I dreamed of hamburgers though, so that kind of one day.
Who knows? Yeah.
That's great, man. That's awesome. I love hearing inside baseball stories like that. It just makes it so much more personal and a lot more fun for everyone involved. That's so cool.
Yeah. Fabio is an interesting dude. I could tell Fabio stories all day.
So can you give us a sneak peek of any of the other stuff that you have written or coming out?
Oh, God.
You have a big back catalog, it sounds like. You've been working constantly.
Yeah, I have a big back catalog. I mean, there are certain things that I can't talk about because of, I don't want to, sound like extremely busy and wildly interesting or anything like that. But, you start negotiating with the publisher and then you got to kind of shut your mouth. But, I did there's something that should be coming soon that would have been coming very soon if not for all this craziness. But I did a tokusatsu book. And so for the uninitiated, tokusatsu is kind of the Japanese sci-fi action genre that includes like Power Rangers and Voltron and kaiju movies like Godzilla and everything like that. And so I did a guy I know through Zen is a guy named Brad Warner, who is he is kind of one of the foremost Zen authors right now. We did a book called Hardcore Zen, and that's awesome. It's he's like an old punk rocker turned Zen monk, and so if you want to know anything about Zen, pick up Hardcore Zen. It's fucking awesome. But Brad also spent about a dozen years in Japan working for a company that was founded by the creator of Godzilla. That they make all of the Ultraman shows, and so Brad spent 12 years making Ultraman basically in Japan while also
Ultraman's coming back to Marvel soon too, right? Didn't we see some previews of that happening?
Yeah, 100%.
Or as they call him in Japan, Uturuman.
Uturuman.
Oh, nice. And so it's another one of these things. I mean, it's like the collaboration was kind of similar to this. It's a similar story to The Jump, where it's like so Brad is a massive tokusatsu fan. He is an expert. He's worked in the industry. I love tokusatsu, but I don't know it nearly as well as he does. However, I am the American action movie guru. And so I think that tokusatsu is criminally underappreciated in the United States. And so I want to kind of change that, do what I can to change that. And so Brad and I conceived of a book together that is kind of Voltron meets Fast and the Furious. It is kind of
you're speaking my language right there.
Yeah, it is kind of it is kind of kick-ass tokusatsu for the American action movie fans. So so very excited about that.
It's like we got to go on a heist, but we need our cars to combine together. That's great.
I think a big reason why it like you said people don't take it as seriously in America is because of the way the imported versions have been treated. They haven't been like Power Rangers and Ultraman are like fairly violent in the original Japanese, and in fact, before Mighty Morphin came out in America, USA did a show that was a straight parody using the footage of some early, Super Sentai, wasn't Power Rangers, but same thing. Yeah. And so I think like because of that, people here kind of like see it more as a comedy kids thing, whereas in Japan it's just like part of their culture because giant robots are awesome.
Yeah, definitely something to be mocked or something for children here, and so we're trying to change that. We're working to change that. So yeah, I mean, I have and then my my tastes as a as a movie guy. They also run. I came up during the Sundance movement. I fell in love with movies watching Pulp Fiction. I came out to Hollywood to make Pulp Fiction, but by the time I got out here, they stopped making those sorts of movies. And so, I think Fargo is probably my favorite film of all time, and I really love what Fargo is, what they've done with the TV series. This kind of case of years sort of thing.
So good.
So
yeah, and so trying to tell some stories like that too. I mean, those are and if I had my druthers, if I could tell any story, I would be telling stories like that. And so yeah, I have a couple of kind of case of trades sort of detective stories that I'm trying to tell. And I have a few of those being drawn right now that are really interesting, kind of small town Fargo-esque sheriff's department stories. And those are those are kind of soul food for me. It's funny. I hate to be the guy who complains about getting paid to write fucking action movies, but not necessarily what I came out to do. That said, give me fucking Passenger 57 or Armageddon any day of the week. Like,
yeah, dude, I was gonna ask if you can write like a sequel to like some action movies. Like, first, I want to know what your sequel would be to any Arnold movie of your choice.
Okay.
And also, Sylvester Stallone, naturally, would be the next one. And any franchise that they did, like, will be a part two.
Also, piggyback a follow up built in is, do you, as a screenwriter, would you feel the pressure of, I'm going to be the next guy to ruin this franchise the way that so
you get
many
the franchise pressure
have ruined franchises?
There's only been two good Predator movies, maybe, if one really.
I'm sure about that. Two is generous.
Yeah. I mean, a friend of mine just wrote the last Terminator movie. A guy I went to AFI with, and went in with the best intentions, and really smart guy, and incredible writer, and
I thought it was pretty good.
I loved it.
Well, I don't think it's a bad movie at all, but obviously it was, obviously it kind of blew up in everybody's faces, unfortunately. So, I'm only bringing it up because, like, it's what you're hinting at, Drew, is that it can be done it can go poorly so easily, even if it's a good movie. People don't fucking care. They will light it on fire. They will light it on fire.
The more history, the more pressure there is, and
So you have to do it a certain way, you have
so we're not going to get a Twins 2, is what you're telling me.
Oh god, I would love to do Twins. Give me fucking Twins or Junior any day of the week. That's fucking awesome.
DeVito now would sell that project so well.
I would say
Kindergarten Cop.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. Look, the gold standard for me right now is Cobra Kai. I think what they did with Cobra Kai is just fucking.
You love Karate Kid. You love Karate Kid. That's your dream project of all time.
Of all time. It's a perfect film.
Yeah, I mean, Karate Kid is wonderful, and I love the first three films more than anything. But what they did with Cobra Kai was awesome. I mean, it was like they honored the original. They didn't change anything about the original. It was a 30 years later thing, and where are these guys? And it all made sense. And so yeah, I mean, I would love to do something like that. I mean, if you ask me what my dream project in comics is, I am trying to get IDW to let me write Johnny Lawrence. They have Cobra Kai. Johnny Lawrence is my spirit animal. I was born to write a Johnny Lawrence story, and so let me do that.
True face of the story.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, I've been leveraging some of my my Hollywood kind of connections here. I was very close on being able to do a short circuit story in comics. Which would have been a lot of fun, despite some of the cultural problems with the original. We won't go to that, yeah. So, God, what movie? What would I like to do? A movie sequel of? So here's the thing. We didn't get terribly far with it, but we were briefly. I say we because I write some of the movie TV stuff with a partner. But my writing partner and I were briefly talking with Stallone's people about a Cobra sequel.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Or Raw Deal 2 with Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Like both those cop franchises, like, dude, that's bangers.
Yeah, I mean, Marion Cobretti is a character that I would write the hell out of and that I would love to see come back. I wonder how Marion Cobretti fits into, what's going on today.
Wow.
Because, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like he was kind of the ultimate Reagan era cop, right? And that's not going to fly today. So,
right.
So we had a lot of good ideas, and they were very receptive, and they loved it. And but then the studio decided to get cute with it, and I think the studio wanted to go a TV route with it. And so that's not dead. I mean, we have fans, at Stallone's company, and we would do it in a.
Would Stallone be in it if it was like a show?
Well, yeah, totally, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
That's so sick. That'd be so
good. And obviously, I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's done reboots well or revisits well. I mean, Creed was a damn good continuation of that story.
Amen.
The Rocky Balboa was pretty damn good.
Rambo.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys like the Rambos? I don't really know what to make of the Rambos, but
I like the first comeback, the first Rambo.
Where the end is just 15 minutes of him shooting that gun and just mowing people down.
Yeah, people just exploding in parts. Yeah, that was amazing. Although the last one, Last Blood,
HGH Riddle triceps just jiggling under the pressure of that gun.
Yeah. Last Blood, I don't think was that good because it was like Home Alone. But like also I think it would have been a better like ending if he would have had to dealt with the consequences of Rambo 3 of like helping terrorists and like that coming full 180 back around, like that would have been a cooler ending, like it come full circle. But whatever, I'm not in control of that.
I've got kind of a Hollywoodish question for you. Why are certain seemingly very popular movies kind of like untouchable, like the Goonies?
God, you mean like why would you never remake the Goonies?
Yeah,
or a sequel or whatever.
Yeah, or The Princess Bride,
or just why hasn't it happened yet?
Right? Because you feel like they're just they're clawing at like everything to remake, and there's just these handful of like magical movies that existed in that era that you'd think would be prime for a reboot. Or I'm not saying they should because but. Like,
but it's an obvious choice, so why haven't they touched it?
Yeah,
they're. I mean, the reboots are almost always, they're almost always disappointing, right? I mean, they go wrong way more than they go right. A lot of times they end up being cash grabs. In the case of Goonies and The Princess Bride, my guess is that there are very smart producers and or directors who have the rights or have final say over whether something gets made or remade, and they are waiting for the right idea, the right situation to come. If the planets align, it'll go. If it ends up being just a cash grab, then it's not going to happen. I
always wonder if rights got twisted too much. Like maybe someone owns the rights to the company, but then someone owns the distribution rights, so you can't really do that because it's different companies. So I feel like there might be too many parties involved to make something happen. I feel like that might happen a lot.
That can happen, but people, money talks, right? I mean, there would be so much money in a Goonies sequel right now. So
forget about
it. So I mean, you're onto something where there might be 10 people who have a say in a Goonies sequel, but 9 of them are like, give me some fucking money, and there's that 10th person who is like, fuck you guys, this is gonna suck and it's gonna piss all over the original, and so we're not doing it.
It's like a 12
franchise. For that guy.
It's like a 12 Angry Men scenario where someone's just sitting in the room, just putting their foot down and crossing their arm and be like, nope.
God, every time it's George C. Scott. But one of the movies of the 80s that I always talk about that I think if they can't redo it, it's The Running Man. You can't do it.
Oh, man.
One line only. Killian, I'll be back. You don't have anybody who could be as cool as Richard Dawson to be like, only in a rerun.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I think they could redo the Running Man if they did it more like the book actually was, because the movie was nothing like the original. Like,
didn't they do that with Total Recall and was an absolute failure?
I liked it.
Yeah. The Total Recall.
I mean, whether you liked it or not, it didn't make the money they wanted out of it.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just curious.
Colin Farrell, though. Why would you cast Colin Farrell?
Why would you cast? Oh, well, I mean, come on. He's sexy. He was in that Phone Booth movie.
Phone Booth was underrated.
Rylend, I was just thinking, like, as a screenwriter yourself, you've worked with a number of who's who in the industry as far as action, sci-fi, all kinds of great production companies and directors, producers. If something like Terminator were to hit your plate, how much does it weigh on you that there have been 35 of these movies and 2 of them have been good? Because you said your buddy wrote the last Terminator, and I actually found it to be a pretty fun movie. But I also weigh that against the fact that the last 3 were movies that I will never watch again. Yeah. What part of that obviously you're of an age, we're all of an age at this point where we have kind of nostalgia for these properties. You can tell by the variant covers you're putting out on your projects. You can tell by the Mr. T poster hanging out, or is it a towel or a t-shirt hanging up behind you?
It's a beach towel,
a beach Mr. T beach towel just chilling. You can tell that you have a love for these properties and a nostalgia for them as well. How much of that comes into play?
We'll come into action.
Right. If you were going to write the next Bloodsport, right? They came to you and said, we should do Bloodsport. Like, how much pressure is there to say yes because it's something you love, but to say no because it's such a risk in an area where you can be on the biggest stage ever, having as much dung flown at you on the internet for making a terrible, Terminator movie?
Well, I think you have to be careful, right? It's a difficult thing. I mean, I've passed on plenty of things, nothing as big as Terminator necessarily, but here's the thing is, like, I know when something like that drops on my desk, it's not an immediate yes or no. It's okay, well, give me a week to knock it around in my head. And then after a couple of days, I usually know, like, okay, well, have I cracked this thing? Is there a good movie to be made here, or isn't there? And if there isn't, if I don't have it, then, I'm going to pass and go on to the next thing, because there's always another opportunity. And like you're saying, shit can go very wrong if you're trying to sort of force a square peg into a round hole. But, if Terminator, Terminator is not one of my, like, Terminator is not, Terminator 2 was awesome, but it's not like one of my things. It's like if Beverly Hills Cop dropped in my lap,
it's on.
Fuck, man. Yeah. I mean, you would literally have to, it would take all 5 of you to stop me from fucking taking that job,
Right. They're gonna pay you to write your Axel Foley fanfic. That sounds
right.
Like
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. And it's and you guys could end up with Beverly Hills Cop 2, or you could end up with Beverly Hills Cop 3. I would like to think that I would write Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Yeah, part 2.
And I actually think Cop 2 is better than Cop 1. Sometimes those are fighting words, but I agree. So but I think it goes wrong. The fandom, it can be a blessing or it can be a curse. I mean, it's like you can kind of get too lost in the property, and then not come up with something that is going to appeal to a wide audience and all that stuff. I don't think that's a problem I've had. There are people that have that problem. I mean, I think the biggest problem is when it's somebody that has no attachment to it and no respect for the original material. That's what Cop 3 was. And in fact, Cop 3 was not even a Beverly Hills Cop script. It was a generic spec script that went out about a cop
just plugged in.
Investigating a crime at a stupid theme park, and
it was like the Joker movie. They just put a Joker sticker on it.
Yeah, and they just
Taxi Driver remake, and they put Joker on it.
Changed the name of the character, and by then, Eddie was just kind of phoning stuff in. But yeah, if they came to me on Beverly Hills Cop, it would, or 48 Hours, or yeah, I mean, you would need to bolt me to a fucking wall to keep me away from that. And I think I would do a damn good job. I mean, again, you talk about my dream properties in comics. I'd love to do a world of Beverly Hills Cop and Axel Foley story in comics.
That'd be so dope, man.
Yeah,
I would love to see those franchises that we love, that we're nostalgic for, like come back in comic form to continue the story. And I think it's all about finding the right creators, and IDW is key for that. I feel like that's what they're best known for.
Do you feel that you ever need to kind of divorce yourself from a script that you've turned in as far as a film project, seeing as it's such a much larger collaboration that really becomes out of the scriptwriter's hands at a certain point? Do you feel like you hold more passion for your comic properties, where you are basically putting the work in to collaborate with an artist, and you're getting a more direct return on your creative investment, or is that just something that I'm putting together in my own head?
No, you're absolutely right. And if and I'm a weird case for this. I don't think all comic writers would say the same thing. But when you see a movie, it says a film by Michael Mann, a film by Quentin Tarantino, right? When I write a movie, it is immediately out of my hands. The moment I hit send and it goes to a producer, they may hire somebody to change 50% of what I wrote, but my name might still be on it. In fact, I've made, I bought my house changing other people's words. My principal job in Hollywood has been, as a turd polisher.
Punching it up.
When you see a Transformers movie, probably 30 people wrote on it, before you ever saw it, but there's one or two names on it. And so I have, my rule is that, my rule and everybody's rule here, if they're not a fucking piece of shit, is that if your name's not on it, you don't take credit for it. Right. Cause I don't want people taking credit for my movie. You should have seen that film before I got a hold of it. It was terrible. But, the truth is I've made some good films a little bit better, and I've made some terrible films, like maybe slightly more watchable. And that's been, and the Hollywood Hills, they're full of people who have done that. But yeah, immediately out of my hands as soon as I turn it in. But if you look at my comics, every comic issue I've written says written and directed by Rylend Grant. For whatever it's worth, I have a master's degree in film directing from the American Film Institute Conservatory, which is where David Lynch went, and a million other amazing filmmakers. And so, I treat each one of these comic issues like a little film I'm directing. And so my scripts are kind of a little bit heavier than most people's. A lot of people they kind of break it into panels and leave 90% of the directing up to the artist. I can do that, and if I don't know if fucking Todd McFarlane was drawing my book or something like that, that's probably how I do it. My scripts in general are kind of half script, half director's notes. So everything that I would give to a cinematographer, a production designer, when I'm going to direct a film, I'm giving that to an artist too. So it's like, so you'll see a lot of camera directions. The quote unquote camera is here. This is in the foreground. This is in the background. Totally. It's a wide shot. There's a car pulling up. It's this car. It's the Ferrari for Magnum PI. You'll see all that stuff kind of scattered through my. So yeah, it's I have been so abused by the Hollywood system, Drew. My greatest hopes have been dashed so many times that I am now taking it out on artists. And so yeah, I am the kind of like master of my own world when I'm doing these little comics. So yeah.
I want to ask one last question before we wrap up, because I know you got to go and put your daughter to bed.
Sure.
you've been in comics for such a long time, before even movies. It's like your old lost love, coming back to it. Is there anything you've wanted to push the boundaries of comics? I know it's a great storytelling format. You can do anything in comics, action-wise that maybe you couldn't even possibly do on screen. Is there maybe like a different, format breaking way or something kind of refreshing or new to comics you might want to try to bring to the table that we might maybe look forward to? Or have you ever wanted to have that desire or need to, or are you fine just with just telling as cool stories as you can, doing anything really? It's very open.
Well, you've read my books. I think I started doing it from the very beginning. I mean, it's this could be a very long story. Let me try to make it short. But I hit a point not too long ago where I was kind of fed up with Hollywood, with writing movies, and again, I feel like an asshole, like being the guy that's complaining about getting paid to write action movies. What you can do in Hollywood is very limited right now. You can fit it on a fucking postage stamp. They make 4 kinds of movies. They want them written a certain way, and I got really good at kind of phoning those movies in. They bought my fucking house, but after about 12 years of doing it, I had to kind of stop and be like, God, I don't know if I can do this for another 12 years. And that's what precipitated this jump into comics. So when I got into comics, that was what struck me, is like, look, you can do anything. You can do anything as long as it's good, as long as a reader is going to like it, right? So I made a promise to myself that I was never going to tell a straightforward story. I was going to play with point of view. I was going to play with time and structure, and fill these books full of experimental elements and the whole 9 yards. Aberrant. There's an entire issue where a character is dying on an operating table, and he imagines himself on an episode of Jeopardy. And that becomes it becomes the framing element for the entire thing. It's bonkers. It's fucking batshit, right?
Like, it had different segments for the categories as the comic went along. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And you could not do that in movies. I have kind of committed to pushing the elements in comics, and I did it again, in the jump, if I can kind of bring it back around. But the sort of irony of all of that is that writing comics has started to positively affect my movie and TV writing. This project I'm working on right now is it's a TV series with Daveed Diggs, who was one of the original Hamilton stars, and he's the lead in the Snowpiercer TV series right now.
Oh, wow.
Great fucking guy, really smart guy. And so doing this TV series with him and his kind of partner in crime, this guy Rafael Casal, who was one of the original Def Jam poets, and so cool. They did this movie 2 years ago, which was called Blind Spotting, which opened up Sundance, and it was kind of like a really sort of really topical right now, because it was about a police shooting and these guys who witnessed it and the fallout of all that. But guys that everybody wants to be in business with in Hollywood. And so I'm doing this TV series for them now, which is kind of a heist TV series, but sort of a modernized version of the Count of Monte Cristo. With dueling leads and chess match between the two of them. Really awesome. But so, we're writing this thing and start out, I've written a dozen fucking heist movies in my life, and they were all the same. And every fucking room you walk into in Hollywood, they have 2 heist movies in development, and they're all the same, and they're never going to get made because they're all the fucking same. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that again here. All the shit that I've been doing in my comics that have made me feel alive again, that kind of saved me creatively. Fuck it all. I'm doing that in this fucking TV pilot. And so just went at it fucking both barrels, and again, unreliable narrators and conflicting stories and playing with time and playing with structure and all of that stuff. And I just wrote it. I didn't tell anybody about it. And we sent it to them. And they took a lot longer to read it than they should have. And I thought I was in trouble. And they finally get me on the phone, and I'm worried that I'm going to get fired. And they're like, we read it and we fucking love it. All the shit that you've been doing, go back, double down on it, do more of it. And so this TV series is on the 2-yard line now, because I think because mostly of these kind of crazy risks that we were taking with it. So
that's sick.
Yeah, so I'm not interested in telling a straightforward story. You know, if I can never do it again in my life, I will. And so yeah, I'm looking to kind of challenge readers and challenge myself, and hopefully it's fun for everybody.
Awesome.
We're gonna be. I want to do a little house thing. Rylend, you're going to be hosting a new show here on Comic Core soon called Writer's Block, I'm hearing.
And are we already announcing that? Yeah, that's funny.
I think now is a good time to write it. And Chad wanted to let you know right now, you were slaying it and making shit happen. So
it's a David Avalone is joining you as well, right? All right, is that a guest spot? I'm sorry, Adam.
No. Yeah, it's funny. We don't
have NDAs here on the Comic Core. We talk about
we are figuring out how to do it. We had such a fun time. Me and all my comic cohorts kind of hanging out on the Mainframe Comic Con. So yeah, Avalone and I are trying to figure out how to do it. It would be called the Writer's Block. Basically, Avalone and I would be on it'd be once a week. Avalone and I would be on every episode, and then we would have a panel of probably 3 more writers. Every time there would probably be like a core group of 12 that were on pretty regularly, and then we would try to keep one chair open for like an at-large person, kind of a heavy hitter. And yeah, it would just be comics from the comics business from the writer's perspective, and look, I've done there was a reason why I was able to kind of like get all these guys onto the panels at Mainframe very quickly, is because I have for years organized panels at Comic Cons, and I've paneled with these guys 100 times over, and so we can fucking talk the paint off walls. I mean, if I haven't proven that right here. You guys have barely gotten a word in edgewise. There are 5 of you, and I've out-talked you probably 90% to 10. That's just how I do it. I'm filibustering. I was told not to do that.
This is kind of your show, so
yeah, it is.
Well, if there's anybody that is better than that, who can suck up air better than I can, it's David Avalone, and so we will be a dynamic duo.
A high-class pulp man.
Yeah, and he is fucking brilliant, and he's one of my closest friends in comics, and I love that guy. And I think it's gonna be a great show, and so every week will kind of be like a badass con panel with guys and gals that know and love each other. So I don't know when we're gonna get our shit together and do it, but we are fully intent on doing that. So thanks, Chad, for forcing me to announce before we're actually ready.
That's how it works.
That works. Drew, can we run that video again from the beginning?
Before I do it, I just want to go ahead and ask Rylend if you could maybe run down the tiers one more time, the Earlybird tiers that these people who are going to be watching tonight and on the rewind in the next couple of days want to jump on those Earlybird tiers.
And again, if you can pledge today, June 1st, or tomorrow, June 2nd, it's really going to help us in terms of the Kickstarter algorithm and in terms of them promoting us and making this thing a big success. So there are Earlybird tiers. If you want to save a little money, you can get your regular or variant copies at a discount today and tomorrow. Other than that, again, every backer is going to get a free copy of Aberrant and BANJAX #1. There are all sorts of like really cool process tiers where you'll get the original script. You get to see my crazy scripting that I was talking about. You get to see the publisher pitch document. You get to see there are tiers where you get to see the artist's entire process, the pencils, the inks, the colors. You get to see how the book is built every step of the way. There are tiers where you can get all 4 covers. You get your Ice Cube cover, your Stay Puft Marshmallow Man cover, your Sexy Booty cover. And then there is the digital tier where you can basically get everything I've ever written in comics for one low price. And then there's some badass. There's original art. There's the retailer tier. Retailers can get 10 copies at a deep discount to sell in their stores. And then there's a lot of cool artist tiers. Fabio was doing original sketch cards, so you can actually own an original piece of art from Fabio. Fabio is taking commissions, so if there's something you want drawn,
that's what my work just came down with. She goes, "I'm doing this one. I'm doing that."
Nice. So. Yeah. So anything goes. So if you want a picture of your best friend fucking a goat, Fabio will gladly draw it and have his ass off while he's doing it. So there's the black and white, pencil and ink tier, but then there's also the There's also the Edson will come and color it if you want a full color thing for a little bit more. So those are great tiers. I'm expecting to see some really fucking fun stuff come out of that. There's the put me on a cover tier that people are crazy. If you want your face on, you want your head on the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, we'll gladly do that for you. There's the put me in the book tiers. We'll draw you in the background of scene. We'll give you a talking part. There is the draw. There's one spot left of the draw an original jump story starring you tier, which will be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm just it's going to be bonkers. It's going to be crazy. I'm really going to fucking sort of skewer you with this stuff. So that's going to be fun. And then there's a tier. If you're not tired of me talking already, I do these one-on-one Skype sessions where if you want film, TV, comic pitch feedback, you want a comic book how-to, you want to talk about getting your first book published. Whatever you want to talk about. If you just want to call me a motherfucker for an hour, that is good. And I did these. When there was the Creators for Comics stuff going on Twitter, I did these, and I did about 6 of them to benefit Creators for Comics and raised a bunch of money. And the feedback on those was awesome. So.
If you need a moderator in any of those, a lot of us are qualified to do that. We've been doing that stuff for the Hero Initiative. So if you need like a mediator, someone to kind of tell people to obey the rules, or I'm sure you can handle it yourself.
No touching. No touching. And then all of those larger tiers, be it the commission tiers, the original art tiers, the draw me in tiers, all of that stuff, they include all the books. So you get all 4 issues of you get all the variants, you get all of you get BANJAX #1, Aberrant #1, you get all of you get the script, you get the publisher pitch document, you get the process stuff, the artist pencils and inks and stuff like that. And so yeah, I mean, there's plenty of fun stuff, and you know what? I mean, if you're out there and there's something you want, let me know, and I will add a tier. So
nice, dude. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have I guarantee you're gonna hit your goal. And I was gonna say, if you have any stretch goals planned in mind, maybe possibly.
Yeah, plenty of stretch goals. Once we hit our goal, which is 7,000, and hopefully we hit it fairly soon. Then you're going to receive. I think we're going to end up with probably about a dozen original comic books from creator friends of mine. So so you're already getting 3 issues. You're already getting 3 issues for the price of your one pledge. We can make it 15 very easily. So once we hit 7,000, it's going to be 15, and you're going to just get a bag of fucking digital comic books to you'll be reading forever.
That's incredible.
And then I think our next stretch goal is a couple of thousand later, and everybody's going to receive an original print of Fabio's liking, and maybe we'll just give everybody the Jason on the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man print.
That'd be incredible.
But yeah, and then there'll be more as it goes. If this thing really gets out of control, we'll start kind of upgrading the book and the experience and all that stuff, and just try to. We're here to give you value, and here to. I mean, I think it's at some point it's like, you're getting like 500 pages of material for one low price.
By now, yeah,
it's a good idea. Yeah. All right,
well, we're all very excited about the jump. Andy, you have something else?
I was just gonna say I'm gonna have to work really hard to find the best dad joke possible for the draw me in and give me line section.
Nice, excellent.
Rylend, I feel like we've taken up a lot of your time. We thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to highlight you and the jump. I'm going to play the video one more time before we get out of here, and I think we're going to let you go and live your life. But I just want to say thank you again for being a friend of the channel. All the stuff you did for us for Mainframe. We're all big fans here and all excited about the jump. So thank you again.
Excellent.
For giving us the opportunity to talk about it. Let me share my screen here, and we'll run this Kickstarter intro video one more time.
Great. Thanks for the time, guys.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, take it.
Hey Kickstarter, my name is Rylend Grant. I have for about 15 years worked as a screenwriter in Hollywood. I've developed film and television projects for folks like J.J. Abrams, Ridley Scott, Luc Besson, John Woo, Justin Lin. I worked in the comic book lane a few years back. My first book was a love letter to 70s paranoid spy thrillers called Aberrant. Action Lab Danger Zone published it in 2018. It won a Ringo Award for Best Villain and was nominated for 2 others, including Best Single Issue and Best Writer. The book was quickly optioned for television by 24 and Felicity executive producer Tony Krantz, and so that one is very much off and running. My last book was a dark superhero noir titled BANJAX. And you might know that one. It was on over a dozen critics' 10 best lists last year. But those projects are over and done with. I am here today to talk to you about what's new and what's exciting. My latest and greatest, and that is The Jump. The Jump is a kick-you-in-the-face paranoid thriller set in the world of astral projection, and you're going to love it. After a series of crippling personal tragedies, our protagonist Thomas retreats from his everyday life and finds comfort in an online community dedicated to the art of astral projection. When he demonstrates a unique aptitude for the practice, Thomas becomes the target of a mysterious corporate political machine known as Ajax, bent on using promising young practitioners to win a centuries-old war on the astral plane. The Jump is a smart, grounded, high-concept sci-fi thriller full of meaty twists and turns. It is essentially Inception meets The Bourne Identity if it were dripping with macabre and directed by David Fincher. Now tell me that doesn't sound cool. The art is done. The book is completely ready to go. We just need the funds now to print it up and get it to you. Any additional cash will be put towards art for issues 2, 3, 4, and beyond. This is going to be an ongoing series. You're going to love it for years to come, I promise you. Now we have some great rewards for potential backers down below. 3 amazing variant covers, original art, the chance to actually appear in the book, the chance to come on to the film and TV property as a producer, and there is tons of creative stuff for all you process junkies. So yeah, take a look below, pick a tier you like, and then please come make the jump with us.
Guys, that's Rylend Grant's The Jump. Oh my God, I can't wait to read this entire book. I got to figure out how Kickstarter works and pledge for this damn thing.
I want to thank everybody for joining us. Rylend as well. He had to go put his daughter to bed, which I got to get going to. Alec, I didn't introduce you earlier, but good having you here, my friend.
Most people probably know who I am. If not,
fuck you.
Exactly. Thanks everybody for joining us. Comic Core Monday night with Rylend Grant, and don't forget The Jump. Thanks everybody. Have a